Hey guys, welcome back to Revealing Biblical Truths. In this video, we'll be covering Jubilees chapters 5 and 6. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications. So in the last video, we went over chapters 3 and 4, where I talked about the genealogies from Adam to Noah. In this section, we will be looking at Noah's flood in the calendar. In verse 1 of chapter 5, it says, "And it came to pass, when the children of men began to multiply upon the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon. And they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants." This is a parallel verse to Genesis 6:4, where the phrasing is the sons of God, or B'nai Ha-Elohim. It point blank tells you here that the sons of God were the angels. In verse 6, it tells us that Yah was angry with those fallen angels, and that the good angels bound the bad ones and put them in the depths of the earth. This supports Jude 1, verse 6, where it says, "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day." It also supports 1 Enoch, chapter 10, verses 11 and 12, where it says, "And Yahuwah said unto Michael, Go, bind Simyaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment." So we have multiple witnesses that all say the same thing here. In verses 13 and 14, it tells us that everything is written on the heavenly tablets and is to be for judgment, just as the Bible says we are to be given account for everything that we do when being judged. It was then said that Yah would destroy the world with a flood, and that Noah made the ark in all respects as he commanded him, in the 27th Jubilee of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year, on the new moon of the 1st month, which was the year 1307 after creation. And again in verse 23, it says the flood began on the 17th day of the 2nd month. In verse 27, it says the waters remained for 150 days, or 5 months. On the new moon of the 7th month, which is also Yom Teruah, or the Day of Trumpets, the water began to go down. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen. And then on the new moon of the 1st month of the next year, the earth was seen. Then it says the 17th day of the 2nd month, the earth was dry. So this was 1 full year from when the flood began. Beginning in chapter 6, it says that Noah left the ark on the new moon of the 3rd month and proceeded to build an altar and offer sacrifices. Following this, Yah made a covenant with Noah and the earth that he would not flood it any more with water. This would have occurred in the middle of the 3rd month, which is around the time of the feast of Shavuot or Pentecost. In verses 11 and 17, he reiterates this. It says, "On this account he spake to thee, that thou shouldest make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month upon the mountain with an oath, and that thou shouldest sprinkle blood upon them because of all the words of the covenant, which Yahuwah had made with them forever. For this reason it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets that they should celebrate the Feast of Weeks in this month once a year, to renew the covenant every year." He also says many times in this chapter not to eat blood, because it is the life or the soul of the flesh that's in the blood. It also says that this feast was kept in heaven from creation until then. In verses 20 and 21, Yah again tells us, "Do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations for a commandment unto them. 1 day in the year, in this month they shall celebrate the festival. For it is the feast of weeks, and the feast of the firstfruits. This feast is twofold, and of a double nature. According to what is written and engraven concerning it, celebrate it." This would be corresponding to the 7-week count from Passover, and the firstfruits is the firstfruits of the wheat, that is at the time of the wheat harvest. In verses 30 to 32, he explains that the year is divided up into 4 seasons, each being 13 weeks for a total of 52 weeks of years, in a 364-day year. And he kept the moon on the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th months as memorials for when the things happened during the flood, and also for the beginning of the seasons. At the end of the chapter, he foretells that the Israelites will stop keeping the calendar and feast days and will go wrong in them. Here's a section from verses 36 to 38. For they will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. And for this reason the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order, and make abominable the day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months, and the Sabbaths, and the feasts, and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after my death thy children will disturb them, that they will not go and make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and the seasons, and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. So we know from this that the solar year is 364 days, and the moon's year is 354 days, being 12 cycles of 29.5 days. So there's a difference here of 10 days. So knowing this, they will not be on the correct calendar, and thus not be able to celebrate the feast days on the right day. We have to rely on the sun to determine the start of the year as well as the seasons, and use the new moons to determine the appointed times. If we don't do that, we will not know the proper day to keep. The year begins on the first new moon following the spring equinox. And then the first month, we have Passover, unleavened bread, and the first fruits of barley. In the middle of the third month, being 7 weeks after unleavened bread, we have Pentecost. And then in the seventh new moon, we have the Day of Trumpets, and the other 2 times in the 7th month being the Day of Atonement and the Feast of Tabernacles, 7 in total, not including the weekly Sabbath, or the 7-year Shemitah, or the 50-year Jubilee Sabbath. Please check my playlist on the Moedim for more information on these holidays. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Shalom.